going to have in our study together. So we're going to read Psalm 23. We read it last week. We're going to read it again this week. But she's beautiful, isn't she? I want to thank our contractors, James and Justin. They did a great job. Brooklyn and Paige were supervisors. They did an amazing job. They kept things on track. Every now and then I mention to you about Taps on the Square in Martinsville. Friday was their 700th consecutive Friday that they do Taps on the Square. 700 consecutive Fridays that they've been doing that. It was a little bit wet Friday, but they was there. They've done it no matter what the weather. They're just right there doing those things, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the flag. It's beautiful, the Missing Man table. But over here, this other over here, Patty brought that in. That flag was flown on the USS Constitution, and it was given to Richard Wainscott on the occasion of his retirement.
Bernard.
I'm sorry?
Bernard.
Bernard. Okay, I read that wrong. I'm sorry. Bernard.
Okay, Bernard.
But anyway, that's over there, and we appreciate that. That's really nice, being able to see that and all. So, but today we're going to say thank you. Now we can say thank you, or we can say thank you. Okay? We can say that we appreciate what you've done for me, or we can really put it in our heart and be able to try to tell somebody that we really are thankful. It's just a couple little things I took off of Facebook and just thinking about some of the things. It says, this week is not a celebration. We are honoring the brave men and women who gave their lives for this country. Another one says, we may not know them all, but we owe them all. Only two defining forces have ever offered to die for you. Jesus Christ died for your soul. The American soldier died for your freedom. They gave their tomorrow for our today. Now, home of the free because of the brave, honoring every fallen hero this Memorial Day. Every one of those we could build on and think about, so do a pretty good study on them. But I may not know your name. I may not know the battle where you died. I do not know your home, nor the tears that were cried. I do not know where you rest, nor the promises broken. I do not know your uniform, and your fears lay unspoken. I do know your spirit exists, that your courage is admired, and your sacrifice is honored by each soul inspired, and I offer unto you my heartfelt thank you to Guardian Unknown for offering yourself for all of us that we keep freedom at home. That we know what we have and we're thankful for it, that we have freedom here. Now, we're going to get into Psalm. So you turn to Psalm 23, or it'll be up here. But we're going to go through that a little bit later on, and we're going to go verse by verse or line by line on that psalm. And but the 23rd Psalm is very important as we think about that. And we talked last week about how personal it is. And think about the 23rd Psalm. So I wonder, for each soldier, the Lord is my shepherd. His shepherd. her shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I wonder how many young men and women have been in battle and have whispered those words. I wonder how many have been in a foxhole someplace and wondered as the shells went over and the bullets sat whizzed by, that the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. How many of them looked down and they saw that their feet and fingers had frostbite, and they gave a pair of gloves to a comrade next to them. We've been through these numbers. But World War I is 1914 to 1918. How many of the 116,516 who died realized what a great service and sacrifice they gave? How many of them realized when they stood there and they took an oath to defend the United States of America, how many of them realized what that really meant until they got on the battlefield? I wonder even then, did they know what a great sacrifice they was making for people today? We remember. We can look back into history and remember some of those things. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. World War II was 1941 to 1945. How many of the 405,399 who died remembered the green fields back home? How many of them remember the old fishing pond and a creek full of crawdads? Thought about it. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. We fought another war in a place called Korea in 1950 to 1953. And there was 36,516 brave men and women who died. Did they remember their old Sunday school class? That Sunday school teacher that has been in that class for years and years. You wish that they were back in class, learning some things about the Bible and singing some little choruses and Jesus loves me and all that. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. From 1955 to 1975, America was at war again in a place called Vietnam. 58,209 died. They were fathers and they were mothers, they were brothers, they were sisters, they were aunts and uncles and cousins, and they served this country. And they gave, and we're so thankful. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Gulf War came in there, 1990, 1991, 294 died. How many chaplains in all that period of time sat beside a young man or a young woman who had promised to serve their country no matter what? how many chaplains sat beside them and read to them the 23rd Psalm? How many of them sat there and prayed and gave unto them comfort as their life came to an end? Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Then we go into Afghanistan. Started in 2001. There was 2,216. I'm sure there's added into that some. But flag draped coffins that returned home. Heroes, each and every one. The Iraq War started in 2003, and 4,497 so far have died. And will always be remembered for the sacrifice that they made. Always. You know why? We won't forget them. You and I just will not forget. Every time we see a flag, every time we go to a parade, every time we have a ceremony, every time, like tomorrow at Gosport Cemetery, 11 o'clock, there will be a ceremony. The VFW at Gosport, the men have that all planned, and they'll be there to remember. You see all those flags around that beautiful little hillside cemetery there. And we look. And so what do? We say thank you. Not thank you. We say thank you. We do remember from World War I until today, there was something like 1,354,664 lives who died for America. And that's just from World War I. We could go all the way back, and so many, many more. In the book of Psalm chapter 33 and verse 12, we find a verse that I'd lay fresh on your hearts today as we think about America. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and the people of whom he has chosen for his own inheritance. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. America was born as a nation in prayer. When Andrew Jackson, the 17th President of the United States, was laid to rest in 1875, they placed under his head a copy of the Constitution of the United States, and in his hand, a copy of the Bible. George Washington said it is impossible to govern a nation without God and the Bible. You go back into those who the very beginning of our nation, they prayed. They asked God's guidance. And when you think about it, it's reflective of the deep religious heritage that brought about the birth of this country. And it did. America is one country whose birth and beginning is different than any other nation. The roots of America reach deep into the heart of God. Our founding fathers began with a faith that they believed in prayer. They believed in God. Columbus sailed across the sea on his ship. He had a cross on his first ship, foremost ship, to guide his course. And when he reached the land, you see, he got down on his knees and dedicated the land, which we call America, to God. As did the first colonists.